welcome to another day in the Milky Way, everyone. And what do you know? I got my special guest, Nina the Mystic, on here to be my co-host at a special time and a special hour, just because it's that Easter egg time, and we're here to make fun of it. Thank you, Nina, for joining me tonight.
Yeah, I know this was kind of like a spur of the moment kind of thing, and I'm actually going live on my own channel as well. And so if you're watching over there, hi. I didn't even go over to. Oh, it's already muted. Oh, perfect.
Okay. Oh, good deal. Good deal.
I'm over on my video now. There's nobody in chat. I wasn't really expecting it. We were just chatting earlier. Like, it seems like everybody's going live, and there's a lot of things going on. So we're not really expecting a huge crowd. But if you're watching, awesome.
They will watch later, and you know how it goes. But this is Easter's coming up. Really didn't realize that Easter was right around the corner this weekend. But I thought, we got to do a show on Easter. And all the, as the title says, Easter deception. Our future is our past. And what does that mean? It means that our future is determined by the past of this Easter. The Easter deception. Why, when did the Jesus guy die on the cross? And why is it 3 days? Why is it Ishtar? Why? Is there some reasoning that the goddess Ishtar is the what do you call it? The pagan religion type patriarchal whatever deity that started this whole thing. And this is Ishtar, as far as I can tell. And she's the giver of spring with the birth of babies and the beginning of a new, which is what the Christians capitalized on for their, the rise again, the rise, the changing of the seasons. Nina, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so Ishtar, is the fertility goddess. And so
yes,
spring is all about fertility, and that's why we got the bunnies and the eggs, and it's all supposed to, like the eggs, right? Fertility is supposed to symbolize all of that kind of stuff. And so the pagans, had a festival and things that they were doing at that time of the year. And so, the Christians, again, just like they did at Christmas time, they came in and thought, well, we can't make them stop celebrating, so we might as well come up with something so that we can celebrate too, so that we're all celebrating at the same time. And so that's what they did with the whole Christ rising and whatever. And I mean, just looking at it's supposed to be 3 days, right? It was risen in 3 days. Well, if he was crucified on the Friday, and that's what the Good Friday today is all about, it's supposed to be crucified today, and then he had risen by Sunday. Well, if you do the math, that's not 3 days, is it? No. So even that alone is like, well, what are you talking about? Like, and then when you go back to the the customs, the Jewish customs and all that, there's no way they would have done it right then. Like, it was right in the middle of their holidays or whatever they were doing, and just everything about it, there was no mention of it. Actually, of course, Wayne was mentioning something about this earlier today too, and that the person that would have had to sign off on this didn't write a thing about it. There's no mention of any of that at all. So, yeah. So there's that.
It is. It's quite the thing. And people went along with it because it was a religious thing. Either you belong or you don't. And, people had to make choices. The Romans were, hey, if you want to advance in this society, you better join our religion, our religious cult of Christianity. Now, once we embraced it, and you had to make that choice.
Yeah, so this was a perfect kind of compromise, really, by doing it at the same time, because this way, because they were literally, forced to convert over, in Europe and whatever. So they have to say that they're Christian now. But this way they could celebrate their own thing and it looked like they were just celebrating, you know what I mean? Doing it all together like that, this way everybody can kind of do their own thing without it sticking or looking like they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And see, here's Off the Hook knows. She says they changed the Sabbath day to Sunday, but I disagree with it. I think the Sabbath day was actually supposed to be Saturday.
Saturday is the Sabbath. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday is the Sabbath, and Sunday is something else. It's the beginning of the week. You don't rest at the beginning of the week. You rest at the end of the week.
That's right. Yeah.
So, see, people have literally looked at things and have forgotten because we're so brainwashed.
Turning a blind eye to it. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Like the 3 days. Like you said, the 3 days, it's like it doesn't make any sense, but you just have to have faith and believe we're right. And I'm thinking, okay, 2 + 2 = 3. Yes. And 1 + 1 = 3.
And I guess it's been repeated over and over so long now that people just they don't even think about it anymore. It's just that's the way it is.
Yeah. So everything is so messed up. We don't know, but that is their plan. The plan is to keep you in chaos, and as long as you're in chaos, you won't be able to know the truth, because you can't tell what the truth is if all this mumble jumble bull is tossed up there. Now, I may be offending a lot of Christians out there, people who really believe in the Jesus Bible rising thing, but my point in all of this is, if he died and he rose again, and then he says, someday I'll come back, and 2,000 years later, you're still waiting. Tell you what, boy, you better give it up. He's not.
At what point do you say, you know what? I don't think he's coming.
I know. I mean,
it's like that deadbeat dad, left to go and get a pack of smokes and he never came back. Like, at what point do you realize that he's not coming back?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're right. It's like they keep saying Elvis didn't die, so and he's going to come back someday, and surprise us all. And I'm thinking, well, if he does, right now he'd be like 85 years old.
Well, let's offend even further. It seems like a lot of these flat earthers are also Christians. So maybe, so there's something there, right? So there's something's going on.
Well, and they're right, because Christianity promoted flat earth. They promoted that
Christian psyop. Yeah. Just like the rapture as well. That's another psyop.
Yeah, and it's like, don't worry. I don't know how many times I've heard from people who said, don't worry, when things get bad, I'll be raptured away and God will come and save me. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I mean, really? When things get really bad, he's just going to come down and swoop you up and say, yep, you were pretty good, I'll save you. But what if you weren't good? What if you did something that he didn't like? Apparently, if you read the Bible, which I'm sure you've probably read parts of it, or if not all of it, and most of it, it's like, God hates us. And he's like, you guys can't do anything right. I make deals with you and you break them, and then I have to punish you. You didn't do what I say, and, I'm punishing you by like killing you, or by doing some horrible thing like cursing your family line for 10 generations or something goofy like that. Mm-hmm. Is that not true?
Yeah, I don't even know where he started with the question there.
What I'm saying is God hasn't been a friendly God. He's cursing us.
No. He admits it in the Bible that he's very jealous and wrathful, and not only does he kill humans, but he goes all the way to make sure the whole bloodline's gone, babies and all.
Yeah.
So I mean, this guy is, if that kind of behavior is what's considered evil, then I would think that the God of the Bible is about as evil as you get. Really. Yeah. And from what I've seen so far, it seems like everything is turned upside down. So, whatever they're preaching, it's the other way around. It's what it is.
Yes,
So,
it's the other way around. We we'll never be good enough because, according to if you were a real believer in the church, they're going to be saying to you, you just don't seem to, rank there. You're all sinners. You'll never meet the mark. Well, you know what? I don't want to belong to a group that you'll never be good enough. No matter how hard you try, you're always going to be a sinner. You're always going to be not good enough. Well, then what's the point? Isn't that what one guy said? He said, I'd rather, rule in hell than grovel at God's feet. And
yeah, it's going to find some kind of fault in you anyways. I mean, you're born a sinner.
Yeah.
So, you can never get rid of it, except it's one thing about the Catholic Church. At least you can buy your way out there. I think that's a good option. If you were going to go that way, I would go that way. That way, at least you can give them some cash and you're all good now, apparently. So, or a couple of Hail-Marys. Oh, they were all good. Yeah.
Make sure you get a receipt for that. When you get to the pearly gates, you can
hold up, nice.
Hold your receipt up and say, yeah, I got
that. That's right.
10 grand. 10 grand. How far does that get me?
Next Saturday night, I'm going to send a little extra. So I'll give you a little extra tip this week because I know I'm going to do it next week. So there you go. I know. Oh, man.
Yeah. So now we got this picture up here. This is, isn't this the Norwegian kind of Swedish?
Kind of looks like Freya or something.
Freya, Freya. That's who I was thinking of. Freya, and she's holding a rabbit of all things, which is like fertility. Because rabbits produce really fast.
They do. Yeah. Did you know that the female rabbit releases her eggs as soon as the male enters her?
Yes. So I raised rabbits for a little while.
Particular time, as soon as she's ready too. So they that's why So
I raised rabbits for a bit, and So you keep the female separate, and then you just bring the male in and throw her in with the female, and he smelled her, and she jumped around a little bit. Next thing you know, he's jumping on top of her. Once he's done, you pull him off, and your rabbit is bred. That's it.
Yeah, I know, it's really easy. It's that's a good prepper actually thing to have because it will supply you with meat endlessly and fur too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is something to think about. Yeah,
it is. They reproduce fast. They're pretty hardy, and they actually give more meat than chickens.
Yeah,
they reproduce faster with less food than chickens.
Yeah,
with a rabbit, you can pull up grass that's right out in your backyard and feed it to them. Whereas a chicken, you better have some kind of grain or something to feed them. So there is a lot of pluses with rabbits. Unfortunately, I don't have any rabbits at this time, but I used to raise a lot of rabbits, and nothing wrong with them. They're good. Yeah,
no, they used to, rabbit stew was the thing, like in Europe and Ireland, that's where that, they're famous for that, right? And because it's, it's so easy to have. It's easy to reproduce. It's easy to maintain. The only thing would be I couldn't kill it. Like it screams too. So I don't know about that part, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess, when you're on the farm, and
that's right. Hold on a second. I gotta take a second here.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to hold on the fort? Okay. I guess I got the mic. So who's here tonight? I see there's a couple people on my channel here. We got Friar Pestle and we got Connors here. Awesome. And they just told me too that JD's going live. So oopsie.
Yeah, I had to let the dogs in. Sorry.
Who let the dogs in?
Yeah. Who? Me. That's who. Anyway, there's Ishtar. We got the gods. We did the shows about the Anunnaki. Goes back to them, the fertility gods. So all this stems from traditions gone back way longer than Christianity.
Oh yeah, like when we're like you were just saying, we're doing the Anunnaki there, and fertility and having a lot of kids, that was a big thing for them. So that's where we get that from, I guess. And so yeah, so fertility, and so doing all these fertility, rituals they were doing, and whatever, it was very important to them, right? Make sure that they're gonna, reproduce, so because in February there we had the whole sex thing, right? Lupercalia or whatever. So that's, and then I guess they're hoping to be pregnant by now then, I guess. I don't know. These pagans, they're
but as with this pagan thing is they picked up on nature. They knew it was more about the seasons, more about that's why they had the rabbit. The rabbit, where they represented, the fertility, like you said. Hey, I put the male in, and all of a sudden she's fertile, like immediately, and babies are born within a month, and and you're bringing spring. They also put other things like ducklings. We did the. Hang on, we had ducklings. The rabbit eggs. Eggs are fertility. Baby little ducks. They always show baby ducks and baby chicks and baby rabbits.
Kind of born now, right? At this time of the year, it's kind of like, right? So I guess that fits in with the whole thing in February there. Yeah, so they were having their little, there in February, and now it's time to hatch. So
that's right. Time to hatch. And we harp on this a lot, but it's just to get people to think about it. Just because you go and you can believe that, this Jesus character, he was strung up on a cross, they did all these horrible things to him. And then somehow, through some magical feat, he rose again, in 3 days' time. And then, but what happened to him? That's the thing. It's like, what, he just evaporated into the clouds? Was he a ghost? Is this a made-up tale? And I stem to think that it was more a made-up tale, because how many people do we see that happen? There's nothing. You'd think if God was of the Bible, for instance, would have kept the story going a little bit more and kept doing these things, because it's like all of a sudden he disappeared off the face of the earth after the Jesus character was raised from the dead. And then that's it. The story ends literally after, and of course they had to come up with Revelation so that we would all be terrified. That Revelation is, he's coming back with a sword. He's going to kill you all, and he's going to save some of you, and you're all going to burn, and blah 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 blah, and he just goes on and on and on, and it's
you got to remember that everything was written down 300 years after it happened.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast last week. You know what I mean? Like 300 years later, now all of a sudden these books, and then they only took a certain books. There was a lot more books apparently that they don't want us to have, and we've kind of found some of them now and all of this kind of stuff. So that's why we know a lot more now. But and they just nitpicked whatever they wanted out of there. This was literally channeled 300 years after the fact. So just from that alone, there's going to be misinformation, you know what I mean? And then never mind the whole translation and everything after that, all the times it's been revised and translated and, all that kind of stuff. So, and then in the beginning, not that long ago, actually, we learned how to read and write back in the day. Only the high priest or whatever knew how to read the thing. And so, I mean, he could have been saying whatever he thought would have been good that day. Oh yeah, that's what it says in the book, and you just got to go by that now. So I mean, who knows what these people were doing? We know how bad those people are now. I can only imagine what they were doing back in the day when we didn't even know how to read and write, and we believed everything that they told us, and put them on a pedestal, and so the whole thing just Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to the, I put in my title of my video, I put, was it really a Good Friday? Well, I bet you if you ask Jesus if he was around, was it really a Good Friday for him? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I agree with you. I don't think
Why do
he
you
was
call
having.
it Good Friday?
Oh, I know it wasn't so good for him, but for
No.
everybody else it was. But here's the problem with all of that is, why would this God, you know, give, have his son, especially they said his only son,
Mm.
why would it be so much that he would give him to us who killed him? You don't reward the guy, the murderer, do you now?
Yeah, the whole thing is just insane. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no sense trying to put some kind of logic to it because there's no way of spinning it. There's just no way. There's nothing sane about that whole story.
Yeah. No,
You know,
yeah, there's nothing.
I remember when I was a Christian and trying to read the Old Testament, I got so mad, and I couldn't understand why. And then I felt guilty because I was mad over it, like that was my
Mm-hmm.
fault. The whole thing is just gaslighting you from left and right. And, the whole thing is it's just disgusting, the whole thing, like
Yeah.
it's just one big bloodbath. It's all about the blood,
It's always about the blood because the blood is the giver of life. You
So for
know?
those who don't know, like say Passover, okay, the reason why they call it Passover is because they literally had to take blood and paint the door frame of your house, or else if you didn't, God was going to kill the firstborn of every household. So if he was going to pass over you, you had to put the blood, and probably of a lamb, I think it was, around your
Yep.
door frame so that he would pass over you and not kill your baby. Now, what kind of loving God is this that
Yeah.
could even think of
Yeah.
something like that? I mean, like it is insane. It really is.
Yeah. It really is. Here's the thing. The real reason Easter exists. Meet the Germanic goddess Esther. Her existence began with the Anglo-Saxon pagans. Her sacred animal was a rabbit, and the significance of a rebirth of spring was, you guessed it, the egg. Because, of course, even a human has an egg inside them. And, of course, along with all that, there's a lot of blood, you know. So when you see
Oh yeah.
Christmas lollygagging around claiming, or Christians lollygagging around that Easter is a celebration of the rebirth of their imaginary himself, make sure you point out that just like Christmas Day and many other Christian festivals, they're actually celebrating an ancient Anglo-Saxon ritual, which is so true. Like it says there, it's just so, that it's been corrupted. They just slapped a new name on it and called it good.
Yeah. And then somehow incorporated that bunny in there, and then we got the Easter eggs and all this other stuff that we're doing now that the church is just going along with again, because they know they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they kind of give in, because majority of us aren't really Christians, so they kind of like, oh, we can only push it so far. So they allow us to have, even Halloween now, I've noticed they're going trick-or-treating in the churches as well. So,
Well, whatever's popular works, because if it isn't popular, people aren't going to, and the church is all about the money and cashing in on it.
I was going to say, they're not going to go otherwise, right? So they're afraid to, be too stern on the people because they won't come. And if they don't come, they're not going to get their money. And that's what the bottom line is. So they're giving in, and you can tell. So you're not really a believer then, are you? If you keep giving in like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Connor says there are hundreds of, not thousands of Jesus characters around the world who have the same story with the same dates. How ironic that is. That is, we're so right on, man. Yeah. Just perfect description of that.
Yeah. They just took the same story and then twisted it up, and concorded this 300 years later, apparently. So that this way, everybody who was around at that time will be gone by then, or at least, I guess they used to live longer back then or whatever, but still, like most people would not know, right? Like I said, we don't even remember what we had for breakfast last week. Never mind what happened 300 years ago. You know?
Well, that's right. Well, here's the thing. Why do they capitalize on Easter eggs and chocolate and candy and bunnies and stuff? Because it's not, I mean, if you try to put chocolate Jesuses out there and, you know, something like that and try to, it wouldn't, people's attention wouldn't be drawn by a rainbow colored, you know, sword that stabbed Jesus in the side. Now, would it?
I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be a rainbow colored Jesus coming pretty soon. Okay. With everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes.
Yeah. Look over here, everybody. We got, you know, the whatever.
They already had that. Wait a minute. They already had that.
Yeah. It's all they have. Come on
didn't
over,
they have
everybody.
Didn't they have that show, Technicolor Jesus?
Oh, yeah. Shit. They've already done that. Oh,
they already done that. That's right.
But now we're taking it a step further than that, though. It's not just the raincoat now. It's the whole, you know, gender thing. Oh, yeah. You know, so
well, yeah, and that's so true. It's just like I said, it's just crazy how all this stuff. But you can't sell Jesus on a stick as good as you can sell one of these pretty colored eggs, especially to a little kid.
Well, not the kids, anyways. No, the kids want nothing to do with that Jesus on the stick. They want the and they love going hunting for it too. I got a funny story for you. I was at the liquor store the other day. Yesterday or whatever it was, and the guy in front of me, he's got like, I don't know, 20 or 30 different tiny little, single serve bottles.
Yeah,
all different kinds. I'm looking at it, I'm like, could you not figure out what you wanted to drink tonight, or like what's going on here, right? And he's like, oh no. They're doing a hunt game with it for Easter. So instead of chocolate eggs, he's going to be hiding these little bottles everywhere. And so adults go hunting for the bottles. I thought that's a brilliant idea. Now that's a hunt that I would go for.
Yeah, well, that's a good adult hunt, that's for sure. And if you're doing it for little kids, boy, are they going to be knocked on their ass.
We'll get the kids. So can you go and get that for Grandma over there? Get Grandma that one over there.
I love it.
I'll give you extra chocolate if you get me that. Yeah,
that's right. But that's the thing. It's all, what can we sell, and how do we sell this narrative? And they can sell the narrative with bunnies and eggs and rabbits, you know, that'll appeal to kids.
I don't think they can sell that. They have no explanation why that's there.
Yeah,
it's not in the Bible. I mean, it's, you know,
but it's like Santa Claus, you know, you sell Santa and you sell the gifts that you're going to get and the toys and the little elves that are making them. Because if you really promoted Christmas, it's kind of a boring thing. Yeah, Jesus, baby born. Okay, what are we going to sell with that? There's nothing to sell. There's no appeal. Jesus on a stick, there's really no appeal. But eggs?
I guess the only loophole they have for Christmas is that because it is Jesus's birthday, we're all celebrating his birthday with gifts, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So they have that loophole there with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the chocolate has to do with him dying. I mean, should we not be fasting at that time? Maybe that might be a more appropriate thing to do when the guy's dying. But, hey, no, we'll just celebrate it.
Well, my question is where did the chocolate come in the first place? Remember, chocolate was a native to South America, which wasn't brought over to the European lands until after Columbus discovered America in 1492. So what did they do before that?
Well, they probably didn't have chocolate. Yeah, no. I think they were using eggs, but there was nothing to do with chocolate. You know, whatever treats that you had at that time is, I think, probably what you got. I remember in Europe, we had like this, it was like a paper mache, almost like an egg, and that egg would be filled with treats.
Yeah,
that's how we had it. We didn't have the egg hunt. It's a little bit different in Europe, so I can see how. Yeah, they must. I don't know. I would have to look back to see exactly what they were doing, but it comes. The egg thing comes from like literal eggs, I think. Like, you know. And
Yep.
then the chocolate companies probably decided, hey, why don't we cash in on this? And so for every occasion that we have now, we're selling a bunch of chocolate.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
like the diamond company, decided that, hey, we're going to make these, gaslight every man out there to buy this. Otherwise, they'll feel like a piece of shit. And that way we can cash in on that, right?
Yeah.
You know,
When
yeah,
as we read in the Horns of the Goddess that
yeah,
the diamond was the most worthless
right.
gemstone of all the gemstones.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
there's another psyop from the diamond companies,
So let's
Uh,
just we'll make the worst one the best one, and
okay.
everybody will chase after the worst one, and all the good ones will be left for us. You know,
Mm,
making you know what I'm saying. So anyway, let's go back to Egypt. Let's take a time trip back to Egypt, and it says
oh,
ancient Egyptian religion. There were tales to educate, tales to entertain, and tales with morals. And in those stories, the gods didn't seem so far away and unreachable. It was confronting to hear that the gods were also wept for those they had lost, to hear about the gods laughing, to learn that the gods faced many of the same problems that people did, a bit on the grander scale. And in learning about the gods on such an intimate level, the Egyptians could better relate to the universe around them. And that goes back to, well, the Easter thing, and how, if your gods are struggling, or if they're talking about spring, it's all about these tales. And I think that's what some guy must have sat down and said, let's make up a book of tales, and people will believe, because they want tales to educate, tales to entertain. And at some point, you can't tell, in the past, I should
mm.
say, you can't tell the difference between entertainment and fact.
No, after a few generations, you wouldn't, right? You've
Yes.
been telling it for so long. It's all oral. Everything is, passed down orally, right? So,
Yeah.
and we know how the story changes over time. Never mind generations. I can't even imagine, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah. And they
Yeah.
always elaborate. You're always going to exaggerate, so that you sound interesting when you're telling the story, right? That's that's human nature. It's just the way it goes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's a crazy world we live in. Okay. Eschar is the English word Easter, or comes from the Saxon paganist goddess. Her name was Esther, with an Eostre, and she was the goddess of the growing light of. I never heard of this before. The growing light of spring in Northern Europe, and the growing light. And I noticed, like, okay, I'm up here in the northern area. You're kind of north area too, but when spring comes, you can tell the difference in the sunlight. When the sunlight hits me now, you can feel it hot on your skin, even though it's cold outside. But
Mm-hmm.
when it's winter, or if it's fall, that light is weak. You can be out in the bright sunlight and it doesn't burn your skin anymore. It's kind of dimmed down. It's kind of mellow. But in the spring here, I was just outside the other day and we had a lot of sun, and oh man, you could just feel it going in your body. It was like hot. Even though it's freezing, I got my coat on, but you get it on your face, your hands or something, and it's hot. What do you say to
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, you definitely notice when the sun's out versus when it's not out. And yeah, you can tell. I mean, even back in the day, they had like sundials on the ground and stuff. You can tell, you know, what time it is, but you can also tell, what's, time of the year and stuff like that as well. You can by the how the sun is, in the sky, and when you're connected with nature, you notice all this stuff, right? We don't notice anything because we're inside. We don't see nothing. But when you're outside like all the time, like if
Mm-hmm.
you went camping even for a week with no internet, no nothing, just out in the bush, you would actually, your body would start to actually get climatized to, when you should go to bed and when you should get up. And like, yeah, your whole sleep pattern will get a lot better. Everything will get reset, and you will start to notice by, a couple days. By day 3, I bet you're going to know when it's noon. Like, I know how to do that just because, we used to be outside all the time as a kid. Like, I know when it's noon, or when I go to my favorite spot, I know exactly what time it is by the time it hits a certain tree and whatever. Like, you get to know that, right? So yeah, absolutely. I guess that was a yes to whatever you just said. So
I agree. And then we've had, the goddess, the Esther, being drawn for many years. I mean, these people have been painting pictures of her, so forth. Oh, we did that one. And here's a chart. Esther is equal to B. I don't know what all this means, but it means something here. If you're a linguistics, you can make heads or tails of all of this. This, I assume, is Egyptian words, and these would be Greek words, and they're almost all translated into the same thing. So
it's funny because I grew up in Norway, and you would think that I would know like all this stuff, back and forth, but you know what? They never taught us any of it in school.
Wow.
Everything that we know was, told to us by our family. Like, there was no class. There was definitely a class. They called it religion, but there was only one religion. They only taught you Christianity. We had to take that. But there was nothing about the old mythologies and everything else. Yeah, it was completely scrubbed out. So, I'm learning sometimes when I'm listening to shows and other people pulling up stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't remember that, because I probably don't remember that because they never told me that, and mythology wasn't a big subject in my family. It was kind of like the last thing we thought about. So, yeah, I'm still learning too. And it's,
well,
it's really unfortunate, that they've done that.
You're so right, because see, this is the brainwashing we get when we're children of Easter eggs and rabbits and the Jesus on the stick, and then they forget to tell us this other stuff. So we grow up our whole life, and then when you finally do hear some of it, you don't know what to think of it, and now it takes you another long time to relearn other things. So let's learn about Freya. Origin, Norse mythology. Signs and symbols. She has a Reisman necklace. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Reisman necklace, a chariot, a coat of feathers, and Hindaving, a boar. I guess I can't pronounce. How does he pronounce that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hildevine.
I can't read that far. It's too small for me.
Oh, let me see if I can blow it up.
I'll blame on that.
This Hildisvini with a hyphenated I.
Hildisvini? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, Svini would be boar. Yes, it's boar. Svin, is yeah, pork. Yeah, Hildisvini. So probably Hildisvini. Yeah, okay, I can get that.
Okay. Sounds much better when you say it than I say it. Hildisvini. The epithets are Lady of Vinar, Lady of Slain, Benin. Okay. Okay, Lady of Slain, the giver of the sea brightener, goddess of love, goddess of beautiful in tears, offerings. Mead, honey, wine, chocolate. So apparently this was added after 1492. Perfume, jewelry, cat figures, candles, and incense. Here's what I want to ask you. This is one right up your alley. I know you do these rituals and things like that. You just did one with the dragon and stuff, but what about Freya? Is there a ritual that you know about to do for Freya?
Oh, there's lots of things you could do.
And okay, just say
for anybody or anything. I mean, a ritual. I mean, your morning coffee is a ritual, right?
Oh yeah. But I mean, do you know of anything special? I mean, they're telling about the offerings that you could give Freya. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a thing for Freya. Is there anything out there that you know of or have heard of? I mean, it just hit me like, well, maybe there's some kind of ritual for Freya, like under the full moon on the second
well,
of
you,
the.
you know what? It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because today is Friday, and that is Freya's day. It's Freya's day. It's Freya's day today. So, for her, it's a good Friday. It's always a good Friday for Freya.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So yeah, you can do things for her on the day. So that's another thing, is knowing, the days of them. Like, say Odin's on Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Odin's Day, that kind of thing. So starting with that, with the day, maybe she's also connected with love. So a lot of love rituals are done on Friday. In honor of Freya. Freya goes by a lot of names though. So she's not just Freya. And that's the thing about these deities. I think there's only so many of them, and they have many names. You know what I mean? Okay. So so you might be working with one over here. I'm working on somebody over here, but it turns out it's the same one. It's actually the different moods, different hats, or masks, or whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean, of that entity, because we all have different moods, right? It all depends on how you come at me, on how I'm going to come at you, and that's the same thing with entities, spirits, whatever, right? So so there's that. And so they got a few things. I mean, most women would like any of those as offerings, and that's the same as a gift. If you were going to give a lady a gift, what would you give her? Probably some chocolate, some perfume, a little wine would be nice. We'll always appreciate that, and so, you think of it that way. Like, what would you like? Like, and what do you think, people would like? Well, they probably do as well, so use your intuition, and listen sometimes, because they do kind of talk to you, but you got to pay attention as to, you could ask, you want this or do you want that? And you'll know like what to pick. Like I know I do anyways. But just paying attention, and with like any other relationship, like if you were dating somebody, you would pay attention to how she reacts to something. She might not say it, but you can tell by how she reacted to it, whether she liked it or not. You know what I mean? So just paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good advice. I don't know if
that answered your question, but
and you notice Freya has a boar. There's her boar we were talking about. She has cats, and
these are all the signs and symbols. So, like, if you're paying attention, and all of a sudden you're getting a lot of, the feathers and the boar, and you're seeing this and you're seeing that, then you'll be like, oh, okay, maybe it's Freya. You know what I mean? Like, or you know what I mean? So that those are things that you pay attention to if you're wondering, like, do I am I in contact with somebody, or you know what I mean? So, or if you're asking them things to show you signs, whether that they heard you, whether you're praying to them or whatever it is that you're doing, and then you're seeing these things, then you'll know, okay, yes, she did hear me. Yes, she did, or she approves or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. I think I'm rambling too much today. It's been a long day.
No. It's good information. It's good information. Like you said, the symbols are there. You got the cats. Let's pick out this picture here. There's so much to see. You see that there's a moon here, not a full moon, but a half moon. She also has some kind of little figurine on her. If you notice right here on her coat there, I don't know what that is, but there is stuff. You got the boar right here. Here's a boar. I don't know why a boar, but it's there. There's some kind of, looks like a bird up in a tree here. All these things are representations of certain things on this lady. Here's her coat of feathers. You can see the long feathers draping down. And then she has beads here. And these, I must imagine, these are some kind of a symbol. And there's 3 rows of them. That may mean something too. 3 rows of beads of what it is. I don't know. But she has 3 necklaces on her, or at least it looks like it. 1, 2, 3 here too. So it's kind of interesting. So just you noticing that
3, so if you were working with her, 3 might be something that is meant for you to notice, you know what I mean? So, and also the number 3 means something to you, and you'll see what you need to see, because next time you could look at this 2 years from now and you'll notice something completely different again, so yeah, take what you get. But yeah, I mean, 3, so the going back to the moons, you got the mother maiden crone, that kind of thing too. And she, definitely as a goddess probably has the same thing as like Hecate, with the mother maiden crone thing. It's and those are stages of a woman's life, so.
Oh yeah.
Right? So she represents we all go, well, if we're lucky to live long enough, we get to go through all the stages, and they're all equally beautiful and important in its own right, and so yeah. So
interesting. And she drives a chariot of cats. Where they came up with that, I don't know.
That's where they get the cat lady from.
The crazy cat lady, yes.
Just kidding. I don't know if that's wrong, but I think women are drawn to cats for some reason, like because quite often, especially single women, do tend to have pets, not just cats, but
well, and the thing is people make fun of the cats, but she's got them that might be something meaning too, because as you can't make a cat do anything. Cats.
I was going to say, when I looked at the other picture, that those aren't regular cats, by the way. Those are Norwegian forest cats. They're a lot more fluffier. And, yeah, exactly. So, the cats aren't going to do nothing for you unless they want to. So, they're obviously working with her, and they, yeah.
Well, I agree. Yeah, that's the thing. Cats are hard to control. Then is she in charge of some elves, that do her bidding? Here she is in a mine, and she's got some guys working here on something, and you notice they all got stars over their heads. They're like little elves doing work. I don't know what that means, but that's significant.
I'm sorry, I'm a few seconds behind you because I'm watching the YouTube, and so I don't get to see what you're talking about until a few seconds later.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So that's okay.
Yeah, they got the elves, like little guys, and she's huge. She's like in a cave, and you can see there she's in a cave because you got miners back here, and they got picks in their hands, and they're digging and moving dirt, and these guys up here are like making a chain.
What does that remind you of? Another story of what's her name with the dwarfs?
Snow White.
Snow White, right? Isn't that's probably where they got that story from?
Oh yes. So, wow.
Snow White.
That definitely could be.
So yeah, growing up in Norway, we believe in all these trolls and and all these. And now actually I'm looking, because now they're kind of finding that a lot of our mountains and whatnot are actually petrified giants.
Yeah.
So turns out that all these stories that I was told, because that's what we were looking at. Now you can tell he looked like a troll. We call them trolls. Yeah. But they're petrified giants is what they are. And so it turns out a lot of this stuff is actually true, Yeah. So there's a lot more to all these stories that we were told. And so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. And like these guys are making a chain, and I'm not sure what chain they're making. It must have some significance.
It's when you're working in the mine, like you say, you got to have a chain, right? You're not going to be running around all over the place. You got very small room, and you're probably passing one thing to the other all the way down the line, and you're moving in the line. You're not just helter-skelter all over the place. So yeah, that would make sense to me that you would be all on the line. Yeah. So I think you got to hold on to a rope too, don't you? Because it's dark down there.
Yeah.
Like so you don't get lost, right? Yeah, or whatever. So I don't know, but.
So let's try Babylonian Easter, or Ishtar, goes back to Syria and Babylon. which would go back to Enki and Enlil, the Anunnaki. Her symbols, like the egg, it goes on and on. The empire was changed to represent Jesus, but its roots, Easter, which is known to you, pronounced Ishtar, is all about celebrating fertility and sex. And see, I get that, because, like in the Catholic Church, you couldn't be saying we're going to, celebrate fertility and sex, because, in the Catholic Church, anything to do with sex is like a sin. That's evil. It's bad. It's horrible. I went to Catholic Church when I was a kid, and man, you mentioned sex. It was like a sin to even think about it. And I'm thinking, well, how do all these people have babies, And basically it was supposed to be, yeah, you're supposed to do it to make a baby, and that's the only time you're doing it. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck? That's horrible.
Yeah. But he loves you, though. He loves you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So that's why we got so many screwed up people, right? So that's the thing. Like, the whole thing, it's a psychological, psyop on humanity, right? So pretty much do the opposite of whatever they told you. Just do the opposite, and we're probably a little bit closer to how it's supposed to be, So, not to say that you're going to run around and have sex with every person out there, but there's a time and a place, I guess, for everything. So, and they certainly, like we know now by telling the priests that they can't get married and everything. Well, that made them go and do all those other nasty things now, didn't it? Right? It's not like their urges are all of a sudden going to go away just because you told them you can't get married. So
that's right.
You're just asking for it, really.
Yeah. And here we go. More about the eggs and the pagan. Goes back to pagan origins too. See, they knew what was going on. It's about the German goddess of spring, Ashtar, was spelled with an O. Celebration of fertility. Rabbits reproducing eggs represent. And we can't say this enough. Easter Bunny brings gifts of candy to children the night before Easter, like Santa at Christmas. It's a celebration. What the heck? The history of Easter. And of course, we have all of these things, which amounts to a Jesus on a stick. How they got that, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. We forgot about that guy on the stick. Oh, yeah, right. How do we fit that in? I don't know.
That's this guy. You can't forget this guy, the Jesus on the stick. Right. Don't worry. And then, of course, this is Michelangelo, who painted the Jesus thing here, and there's so many hidden things in here about where's Jesus's hand, here's the V shape, and and it's all with the lady, and why are these guys, and why is there a lady in there, and why is she next to Jesus, why is her hand here and his hand there, what's going on? Is this trying to tell us a story? And I think it is. It's trying to tell us something here is going on, and they're trying to tell us the truth.
That dude looks like a lady. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's Mary Magdalene over there. That was his girlfriend. But we can't talk about that, because we got to go back to the sex thing. We can't. That can't be happening, right? So. Yeah. No, there's a lot more. I mean, I don't know if he actually existed or not, but if he did, apparently, the bloodline goes on, apparently. And isn't that what all the troubles are all about? The bloodline of Jesus?
Yep. Many wars and many people died over this bloodline.
If we're going to be taking out a bloodline, I think that's the one that we probably should be targeting, not all the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that one there has caused the most destruction upon this planet, I would say. So, if we're going to look at it that way. I didn't say that, though, but
Yeah, I think Pearl said it the best. Suppression of sexuality is the biggest sin. You suppress. You're trying to suppress nature.
Yeah.
That
would be like saying that eating is a sin. So you being hungry, well, that's you're sinning now because you're hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look at the church tries to control what you eat. And I'm thinking, what? If you really read the Bible, it'll control what you eat and when you eat. how you eat it, how you take care of it. Well, you know, and it just goes on and on. It's like it's the first original communist book.
Speaking of, no, this doesn't have anything to do with Easter really, but have you heard about this red heifer?
Yeah, I heard about the red heifer.
Speaking of preparing, when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, so they're just about to do this. Okay, so they got 5 red heifers, completely the way that it says in the Bible, because it's a certain thing. Can't have a single white or black or whatever hair on its thing. You know, can't be over 2 years old. Can't have ever worked or been pregnant, right? So it has to be completely blemish free. Like so, and apparently they're very, very rare. Well, for some reason they got 5 now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They're being flown over there now. And so it doesn't matter what we believe or not. The fact is that these people do believe in this. Okay.
Yeah.
And these people are doing it right now. All that crazy shit in the Bible, they're doing it right now.
They're manifesting a new reality. That's what they're doing. They're manifesting a reality by following through with things to make it come true.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I think they wrote the thing in the first place. They're just playing it out now. It was just a 2,000 year play, you know, screenplay. 2,000 year screenplay is what they're doing. And so now we've gotten down to the end. So we are at the end. So they're right that way. The Christians are right when they say that. And they're just about to do this sacrifice now, these red heifers, which is then ushering in the third temple, which is then going to be the Antichrist in there. So we're right at the thing. So I can't wait to get my popcorn out and to see who this Antichrist is. I can't wait. Who is it going to be?
That's right. That's right.
We need to do bets on who we think it's going to be. I mean, there's only a few players, right? So
that's right. And when this doesn't come true, what are they going to say? Well, you know what? I guess the conditions weren't right. We got to wait another 2,000 years.
Well, no, you know what though? The thing is, and this actually will play in perfectly with the whole fake alien invasion thing. Because if we're going to go by what it says in the Bible, if he rose up in the sky, and he also says when he comes back, he's going to come down in the clouds, which means he's going to come down in a spaceship.
Yes.
What else is he coming down in? So Jesus is an alien, obviously, if that's the case, if that was true. And if he is coming, he's coming down in a spaceship. Well, guess what? What else are we also waiting for?
The alien.
The spaceship, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they're going to play, this is all going to get played out. Jesus coming down in the spaceship, in the freaking temple over there. You know, it's all played out. It's all, you know.
Well, you know what? Maybe the Jesus character is one and the same. He is the Christ and the Antichrist all at the same time.
Yeah, he's probably bipolar that way. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, that would be the only thing that makes real good sense.
You know what? That would make sense because in the Vatican, when you look at that statue thingy behind the guy when he's sitting there, half of it is Jesus, the other half is some weirdo thing. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I mean there you go. He actually coming back like that. You know, one side is good, one side is bad. Ooh, which one is it today? I don't know.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The original Dr. Jekyll.
Wine is what kind of mood he's going to be in. So you better start, brewing something good because Jeeber's coming back.
Yeah.
So
and that's right. Mark the Ark Spark says maybe he'll fly like Superman. Yeah. Well, with a jetpack. I think they're one and the same. I think Jesus is the Satan. Satan is the Jesus. You can't do good without doing bad. It's the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang are just opposite sides of the same coin. It's all there right in front of us. We think so hard on this, like, who's it going to be? Where's it? It's the same thing. It's always simple. We just can't see it.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. I had something on my tip of my tongue there, but yeah, it's gone.
While you're thinking of that,
he'll come to me later.
While you're thinking of that, I'm going to talk about this Ra and Mot. Ra was the sun god. He was swallowed by Nut at night, and traveled through the underworld. Ra was depicted as a man with a headdress with a sun disk. Mot was the goddess of justice and truth and was the daughter of Ra. The advisor to the pharaoh was in charge of the courts and was known as the priest of Mot. She was often depicted as a woman wearing a feather, and that could be, the Freya character, like you said, different names for the same character, because Freya wore a feather coat. This one wearing a feather, same deal. So, no matter which religion, which culture you go to, it seems they have a variation of the same character. Like you said, different names, different hats, same person.
Yeah, they keep reinventing. I guess they got to rebrand it every so many, years and whatever, right? So
yep.
I think and that's the thing. We are kind of at the end of this screenplay, okay, that they made up whatever years. It's debatable whether it's 2000. I think it's only 1,000. I think they tacked on 1,000, but whatever. That's a whole different discussion. But whatever years they had, and maybe they probably did make a deal with somebody, something, saying, okay, I'll give you 1,000 years of prosperity, but then after that, you're on your own, or you're done, or whatever. And it seems like we are kind of there now, and so there's going to be a new a changeover, right? Now we're going to be, and I can see them scrubbing out our history in real time.
Yeah.
So they're scrubbing us out, and there's going to be something completely new. And they've done this so many times, and they're about to do it again. It's what is
do it again. I totally agree. With that finishes up my slides for tonight. Okay. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. Like I said, I hope everybody got a little bit of good information on all of this. It's been a great discussion, Nina. I think we brought up a lot of things. I think we should honor the goddess Freya for Friday today. It's her day. It's Good Friday, so it's Good Freya's day. Give her some offerings. Say good things, and she will bless you with fertility. And with fertility, that doesn't just mean you could be fertile in your job. You could be fertile in your wealth. You could be fertile in a lot of things. It doesn't have to be with your eggs or your things like that. Fertile in a lot of different ways. You could sum that up, couldn't you?
Well, you got to remember that, this is from the pagans, and fertility is very important because you want to ensure your crops. Fertility of your crops so that you have food, and same with fertility for your animals so that they can reproduce and give you more meat and, again, food. So that for survival, you have to do these things and observe these things and pay attention to these things for your survival. Yeah. So that's where it comes from. I know now it's just like chocolate and we're all just consumerism and we're just all over the place. It's just way too much of everything, but that's about to change too. So interesting times for you in for sure.
If the system ever collapses, people will turn to different entities for help instead of looking to themselves. They will say, oh, God will help me. God will give me strength. You know what?
We've given God enough time, I think. Look around. Has he done anything good? No, I don't think
so. Right. That's right. This is the door for you people out there to turn to something different and say, hey, the last 2,000 years we were believing in this God and we still ended up in a hellhole. And maybe it's time to think out of the box. Maybe those Egyptians who had a society that lasted for thousands of years, maybe they were onto something.
Or even the Native Americans.
Native Americans, yes.
They were all living here very peacefully and very nice before we came in here and destroyed it all. I think the way that they lived, I think is probably a lot more better way of doing it, honestly. So yeah.
I mean, they celebrated the spring, they celebrated the fall, they celebrated the winter. They did different things at different times.
You observe these things in order for survival. And you had your shaman there too, because there were spiritual components to it as well. But anybody can kind of observe nature and whatever, especially when you're in it all the time. So and that's for our survival. We without that, yeah, we didn't do too well. So yeah, but yeah. I'm actually speaking of fertility. We're expecting my first granddaughter here pretty quick, next
Oh,
couple of
wow.
weeks. So yes, lots of fertility here, which is very good. It
Yeah,
helps in some rituals, to make sure that these things happen, because it doesn't happen for everybody. And
that's
yeah, so
true.
I'm looking forward to that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Frere says we celebrate the seasons too with sales.
Sales, I know. Buy
Yeah,
more crap, right? We can then talk about
exactly.
that on later for nothing.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. You just need the basics to survive. I know we all have a bunch of crap. I'm guilty of it too. But just you need a roof over your head. You need food in your belly. Your
Yeah.
pantry to be full, so you got food. You got to have a nice roof over your head and heat in your house. I'm not saying that you have a good job to survive and a little bit of cash, but all the other crap that you buy, every time you buy something, ask yourself, do I really need this? Is this holding me back? Is this tying me down to this world? Do I need this?
Unfortunately, buying things gives us pleasure.
Yeah.
And we're always seeking more pleasure. And so retail therapy is a thing. I'm guilty of it myself. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying my hardest now, because I know that, it's not going to be like this in the future. You might as well get used to it now, But humans, we strive for those endorphins or whatever they're called, and so whether it's food or alcohol, drugs, retail therapy, we're going to do it, and we just kind of gotten in a rut because we're not feeling good. The place isn't a good place. So we're going to look for that anywhere we can find it.
Let's see. Mark the Spark Arc says, isn't that the black cube on your hat, Robert? Sign of the demiurge? No. That sign appeared on the Corona. Okay, you look on that. You look on that close.
Yeah, I was on your show earlier today and talking about the Antakarana. Okay.
Yes.
So go and watch that for sure.
Yeah, and it's not black cubes; it's sevens. Three sevens of luck.
That's right. I mean, you can look at it and you can see the cube there. I can see that. Whatever. I mean, does that mean that it's a symbol of Saturn? I don't think so. It was never meant that way.
Yeah. It is also like you did a meditation today. I stopped in for that. I wish I could have had a little more time, and I'll have to go back and listen. But you did a Anakarana meditation. The little bit I did sit in was really nice. It was relaxing. I encourage all of you to go check that out. It wasn't that long, but it was great to just watch the thing, look at the Anakarana, and then you walked us through it really nice. It was really good. You did a good job on that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So I just, for those who don't know, I lost my Nina the Mystic channel. And so, but luckily I had everything backed up on Odyssey and Rumble. So I will be uploading eventually here, not all at once, but eventually over the months here, weeks or whatever, you'll see me start uploading some of the more spiritual stuff up on the, the Nina channel. And then the more political and whatever stuff will be up on the Nina's Truths channel. So I got 2 new channels now. So if you guys don't mind subscribing to my channels and follow me on Rumble. Okay. Same with,
I got a Rumble channel, everybody, too. So go get check.
So we're ready to rumble
and Nina out.
You guys on board, okay? Because that's where we're going to be rumbling, and we're going to be talking about, without holding back. No more of this censoring and trying to talk in code and all this kind of stuff. No, we're going to go to Rumble and just let it loose. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I'm also on Twitter. There's a Milky Way Twitter channel, everybody. Hold your horses. Milky Way Twitter is out there.
There you go. I got Nina Mystics on Twitter, but I'm not going to get a Twitter account for the truth stuff. I just heard, we were talking yesterday, right? That somebody bought Twitter and they sold out and they're selling our stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not posting jack shit up on Twitter. So the only thing I'm going is Gilded. Get on Gilded, guys. Get in there. There you can post whatever you want. We can talk about whatever you want. And we don't have to worry about censorship and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, join us on Gilded.
Absolutely. Well, it's Lucky says so much happening this last week. Yes, there was so much happening. We talked about
for a lot of people. Like a lot happened for me, right? But I'm looking at all these other people. Everybody is gone through hell in a handbasket this last week. Like major things. Like, holy smokes, what is going on? And I just found out today. Now I'm going to have to look into this more, and this will be something that we're going to be doing a show on the other channels. But CERN, guess when they're firing up the cylinder again?
The 7th of April or 8th of April or whatever it is.
The 8th. During the eclipse. They're firing up the freaking thing during the eclipse, and they're shooting off something somewhere. And I was like, okay, oh my God. So yeah, there's big things. There's not just small things happening here for the eclipse. Okay, so actually we're going to be going live on the 7th, and I'm going to be doing some more study on this because I just found this out like in the last hour here that this was happening. Because again, they're not going to tell you this stuff out in the open. You have to go searching for this stuff to find out. You know, they're not going to tell you on the news that, oh, guess what? CERN's going to be firing up the thing again because something major happened last time. I know we jumped timelines. There was a lot of things happening last time. And I'm pretty sure from what I heard, there's going to be portals being opened here. Like there's something is going to be happening here for the eclipse. So yeah, so that tune in everybody for April 7th, because we're going to be a little bit more educated on this subject, and we're going to be back live on both these channels on April 7th.
Yes, we are. Yes, there you go. Yes, and yes, we are. And with that, we're going to sign off, and hope you all have a great Easter weekend, Freya, and all of those people. Think about what you're doing. Remember, it's all about fertility and spring. And, you know, if you're into yeah, that's right. And if you're into the Jesus character, well, good for you. If it's working for you, go with it. I don't care.
I don't know. That's just sorry, you ain't listening to this channel, but yeah.
That's right. But whatever. But anyway, we're all good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you learned something. It's all good, and you'll get more information by looking it up yourself. Check it out. Do some research. That's what it's all about. This here channel, all this information is to spark your interest. Go out there and do the work. Learn something. This is a school. The whole world around you is a school, and you're here to learn. Now, remember, everybody, with that, go out there, do something nice for somebody. It'll come back to you in karma. It'll come back to you more than if you paid it out. So go do nice things, and you'll get rewarded just by the intention. That's what it's really going to amount to. And with that, thank you, Nina, for joining me. And everybody, remember, go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love you all. Peace, everybody.